podcast where our mission is to offer thoughtful and inspiring parenting and educational programming. We are committed to producing impactful podcasts that add value to conversations around education, student advocacy, and parental challenges. My name is Heather Moore, and I'm the head of school at Strelitz International Academy in Virginia Beach, and I will be your host. I have over 28 years of experience in independent schools, with 8 years as a head of school and 20 years serving as an independent school chief financial officer. I also have raised 2 children, one finishing medical school and one starting law school, and have been married to my wonderful husband for over 31 years. On today's episode, we will discuss the International Baccalaureate education and why is it important for children developing to meet the challenges of tomorrow. Joining us today is Alicia Pahl Cornelius, the SIA IB coordinator for early years and primary years. Welcome, Alicia. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. Yes. This is my 5th year here at SIA. Previously, I was a middle school science teacher, and when I started here 5 years ago, I was the 5th grade teacher and also the IB coordinator. This year is very exciting. I've transitioned to be the full-time IB coordinator. The work that I've done here with the IB has been really rewarding for me, and I'm enjoying it immensely. My husband and I have 2 daughters. We have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old, and my 4-year-old is here with me at SIA.
Great. Thanks so much for sharing, Alicia. So, let's dig right in and talk about what is an IB education and why is it important. Because, when you and I went to school, we didn't go to an IB school. A lot of times parents don't even know, what does that mean and why is it what's different about it? What makes it special?
Well, there's a lot to talk about. We might not have time today, but we'll try. So an IB education is very different than kind of the traditional education that most of us grew up with. It really encourages students to inquire, which means we want them to ask lots of questions, we want them to be curious, we want them to tap into their natural curiosity. We promote creative learning in a supportive, collaborative environment. And what the IB gives us really is a framework for teachers. It allows teachers to guide students through their learning about complex, real-world issues. And this framework is really unique and important because it encourages a transdisciplinary approach. And you'll hear us talk about that a lot at Strelitz. It really encourages us to tackle these complex issues from the different subject areas. So not in isolation, kind of the way that you and I probably...
Right, like we had reading time, we had math class, we had science, we had social studies, but transdisciplinary means that some of those typical coursework or standalone courses kind of are intertwined, right?
Exactly, yeah. So we're no longer, having just reading class or just math class. We're using our reading time to learn about a real world issue, or we're using our reading class to learn about the topic that we're also inquiring about in science class. So we really want to kind of blur those lines between each subject area as much as we can.
Yeah, that's great. I think that sort of helps people just have a basic understanding of IB. I feel like it takes a little while to really take it all in, and once you see it happening and you see it in action and you see the students so engaged, you realize, wow, how important that is. Because the truth is, we're raising children to live in a world that doesn't exist right now. We don't even know what the needs necessarily are going to be by the time they're professionals, grown adults out in the workforce. What will the workforce be? And so IB really teaches them to be problem solvers and collaborators, which we're going to talk more and more about here today, I know that. But it's important for you to be able to take a problem from start to finish, whatever that problem is. It could be a global issue, it could be something in your local economy, it could be something in your neighborhood, I don't know. But to be able to look at that issue and figure out what's the solution.
Know where to start building your understanding and then see it all the way through. Yeah, that's really, I think, powerful.
Because there may not be a solution, so they have to be equipped to figure it out. So that's one of the things I really love about the IB education, and I wish that it had always been that way. Many of us are brought up in a world where they call it factory line education, I think, where you sit in desks in rows somebody stands in front of you and, puts information in your head kind of situation. But the world really isn't like that anymore. Mm-hmm. Memorizing a lot of facts, not that I am saying we should not memorize things, so don't take that the wrong way. But, everything is at your fingertips today. Everything is a Google world. So what we want to spend our time committing to memory might actually be somewhat different. So anyway, okay. Change. Yeah. So let's talk about, there's some 10 reasons, which we may not, hopefully we can get to them all, but 10 reasons why you would want an IB education. The first is it encourages students to inquire. Natural curiosity, creative learning in a supportive, collaborative environment. Sounds great. What does that say? What does that mean?
It means that as teachers, we're really focused on giving our students as much of a say as possible in what they learn. We want them to be invested, we want them to be excited, and we want to hear from them what they want to know more about. Of course, the teachers are always going to be the guides, and they're going to be guiding the students through their learning journey, but we want to know from the students what they care about and what's important to them. And that's just going to make the learning more impactful for our students and exciting for our teachers too.
Right, and so that also gives the student a little bit of, I'm going to use the word agency and or responsibility. There's so many words you could put, adjectives you could use there, but because they feel like they have a say in what they're learning. The lesson can go in a direction of interest of the students, which again makes them very engaged. So, okay, reason number 2. Understanding complex and interdependent worlds. I think we've actually hit on that a little bit, but again, the IB provides us a framework. It does not dictate curriculum. It provides the methodology to teach students in today's world. So again, we're going to say the framework, and it encourages transdisciplinary approach, which you have already kind of touched on a little bit. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
I mean, really just that our world is so complex and it's changing so rapidly. I mean, it's vastly different than 2 years ago. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I almost think it would be like unethical for us to be teaching kids the way we grew up learning, because it's not fair to them. It's not preparing kids for the world they're gonna, emerge into as adults, as young adults. Just like we've been talking a lot this year, the start of this year, about ChatGPT and artificial intelligence, and things are just changing rapidly. We really have to educate our kids in a way that's gonna, make them agile learners and be able to deal with whatever changes are coming next.
So another important piece of the IB framework are the learner profile traits. These are characteristics that we want to nurture in our students and in our children, educating the whole child. We integrate social emotional learning whenever possible. Learner profile is also a tool to help teach character development in all of our classes, which is really important in our school as a Jewish community day school. We have certain core values, and all of them kind of tie in together with the IB learner profile traits. Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, they're just really kind of integral to our IB primary years program. And it really gives the teachers a common language. So a general studies teacher can use kind of the same adjectives to describe learners in their lessons, and then when the kids go to JS, they can pull out those same characteristics or attributes in the characters that they're learning about in the Torah stories. And it's important that we're all kind of on the same page with that same language. And they're really the characteristics that we want to nurture and grow in our students, because we believe that they're going to make them, just amazing adults, young adults, when they leave our program and when they go out into the world. We want them to be excellent communicators. We want them to be principled and do the right thing. We want them to remember all of their learnings from Judaic studies. We want them to, take those values with them and just be the best version of themselves when they leave.
And if one of our listeners is interested in knowing what are the learner profile traits, they can find them on our website?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they can obviously also go to the IB website if they want more information about learner profile, because there's quite a number of them.
There are, and now they're plastered on the wall of our beautiful new foyer as well.
Yes, they are. Nice one. Okay, so next top reason why you should be considering an IB education for your elementary PYP student. PYP students are confident communicators. They learn to communicate in a variety of ways, and even more importantly, in more than one language, which I do think is an integral piece of the IB education. So any IB school you go to anywhere in the world, they are going to be teaching a second language to children as young as 3 all the way through high school. And at our school, obviously our language is Hebrew and our host country is Israel, so that's what we're teaching. But go ahead and comment on that, Alicia.
Yeah, that's another key piece, and I think that that's something that we do really well at our school, is just really nurture that communication skill. We give our kids a lot of opportunities to stand up and present to their class, or present to the entire student body at lunch or at assemblies, and our students just get a lot of opportunities to talk to their own learning community, also to adults that might be touring the school. I think they are very confident communicators, like you said. We teach them those skills of making eye contact, of speaking clearly, and it's just something that we focus on intentionally because it's one of our learner profile traits.
Love it. And also our kids learn to communicate using different modes. It's not always public speaking, although that's a big focus, but they could be making a movie. They could be presenting a PowerPoint slide. They could, be communicating through music. There's so many different ways. I mean, this year we're starting a drama club, so I can't wait to see some of those forms of communication.
Yes.
Okay, so next top reason are the ATLs, or approaches to learning. These are soft skills we want to build. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I doubt our parents really know what we're talking about there.
Yeah, this is kind of something that we're digging into a little bit more this year. And these are 5 skills that, again, we are really focusing on and giving some intentional time into building with our students. So they are thinking skills, self-management skills, communication skills, social skills, and research skills. And we really want our students to practice using these skills now, because we're growing them now so that they have these skills to take with them to middle school and high school and beyond. One of the activities that I've been doing with some of our older students in 4th and 3rd and 2nd grade is starting by brainstorming some of the jobs that their parents or caregivers or special people in their lives have. And then we talk about which of these 5 skills the students think they use often in their jobs. And what we've come to learn together is that we really use all 5 of these skills, right? As adults, when you think about what makes you a successful adult in whatever line of work you do, it's those skills, those communication skills, those research skills, those self-management skills, and social skills too, take you really far in life. So we teach the kids that we're practicing those skills now, because when they go on to college and beyond, they're going to be, so good at using those skills and approaching whatever it is that they want to do with their lives, using those 5 skills, and it's going to lead to, we believe, a more successful future for them.
That's great. Okay, next top reason, learning how to learn, which I find that it sounds so like, of course you're learning how to learn, but that's not something that is typically taught in a classroom, learning how to learn. And what we're talking about is our students, they work collaboratively with teachers, with other students to plan, present, and assess their own learning. And one of my favorite pieces of it is goal setting for the students. I really like that that's a piece of IB, and the students get to sit down and set their own goals for themselves. They also actually can sit down and at the same time and reflect a little bit on what they may have found challenging or what they felt they really excelled in, which I think is equally as important.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of what we do with these skills are thinking about how do we learn best, because every student learns differently, and every student has different strengths and areas where they're growing, and we really want them to be reflective, like you said, and focus on what they're good at, where they want to grow, and then really adopting that growth mindset of my goal is to keep on doing well in these certain areas where I know that I'm a strong learner, and really focus on these other parts where I do have room to grow. And we do, I think, a really good job of modeling that growth mindset in all of our classrooms. The teachers are not, representing themselves as the sage on the stage, or whatever, name you want to give. We want to also embody that growth mindset in ourselves and show our students that we don't know everything, we never will, but we love learning and we want to continue to better ourselves. Even adults need to do that.
Yeah, I like that. And also really just think about it, goal setting. All of us as adults, we set goals in, in our professional lives and measure whether or not we met them. And I also think it's really a good idea to set goals for your personal life. We're not always good at that, actually. And it's interesting because I literally just started doing that the last 2 years at home. My husband and I are like trying to set our own personal goals. And each year, we write them out. We have a little board and we kind of like touch base on them every so often during the year. How are we doing with that? Or is that one off the board now because that's really something changed and it's definitely not, we're not going that direction any longer. But I did find it, so I've only done it for 2 years, but I've really found it to be so interesting, especially at the end of the year, because it's the same kind of process. You reflect. So what happened? Where did we get with those goals? What changed? Or, maybe we accomplished all of them. I don't know. Let me think about that. No, we definitely did not accomplish all of them. Some of them are repeat goals and they're still on there. Normal things like everyday things, health and wellness and fitness and financial goals and all of those fun things. Travel goals. I think that's a good thing for people to have is family travel goals.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that I really like about IB. Okay, so this everybody hears us say quite often, I think, but IB encourages international mindedness. Collaboration and understanding of their own and other cultures is an important focus. Students are respectful and open-minded, and this begins in our early years classrooms. I think this is also another very, very important piece of IB. And it's a good lesson because even though you might think you're right about something, if you just give somebody a chance and you listen to their perspective, guess what? They may also be right. And it's an interesting lesson to learn.
Yeah, and this is a skill that we also practice often. We practice seeing things from different perspectives. In doing so, our students use critical and creative thinking skills. They develop knowledge, and they build those skills within and across the different subject areas. This happens a lot in social studies and history lessons. We look at what happened in the past, and we kind of really think about what each of the parties, what their perspective was, what their motivation was, and then we bring that skill into current events. When we learn about current events today, we also practice that skill in thinking about what the different parties involved are really thinking, what their motivation is. Back to international mindedness, I think it is a huge part of the IB because we are, entering this really globalized time in our world's history. And it's important for kids to realize that they are going to interact with people from all over the world, from all walks of life, and just to enter that with curiosity and with an open mind, I think is really important. Like you mentioned, it begins with the early years classrooms. I think our early years teachers really do an especially good job with this. They really welcome every culture into their classroom. They celebrate it in a beautiful way, especially in the 4-year-old classrooms. They do their family of the weeks, and they really get to highlight everybody's culture that they bring here to Strelitz with them.
I think a really good example, and I'll have to see if I can't find this video, and if we can find it, we'll put it on our resource page. But when I first started looking into the IB, they had a video that kind of helps you understand international mindedness and having an open mind and respecting somebody else's opinion, even if you think it's wrong. The video was about just your address. What does an address look like in the United States, and what does an address look like? I think it was Japan, and how we give directions based on maybe a number and a street and and they have blocks. And so their addressing system, I think it was in Japan. I might be wrong of what country it was because it's been a while since I've seen it. But it was so interesting because it just makes you say to yourself, now I understand what the point of that is. It's I'm not wrong and they're not wrong.
Yeah.
It's just a perspective.
Yeah.
So I love that about the IB.
Yeah.
Okay, another very important reason to be considering an IB program for your child is the students take action. Students believe they're able to grow and succeed. They make appropriate choices and take responsibility for their actions. I would say that we constantly say around the school that we might learn something globally, but we might take action locally. And our kids, action is a huge piece of the IB program. So it's not just that you're learning all of these things. What are you going to do about it? What action are you going to take? How has this information impacted you? And what might you do differently because you now have this information?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe action within the IB. And it's through these action projects that come at the end of each of their 6 transdisciplinary units. So the 1st through 5th graders have 6 units, and our 3, 4-year-old and kindergarten classrooms do 4 units a year. It's through these action projects that students really see that they are able to make a difference, that they've learned something new, and then they can take their learning and make a difference, whether it's small within their own lives or at their own home, or if it's a bigger action that they're going to share with the whole community. So that's really cool.
Not to put you on the spot, but do you have any examples of any of the past action projects?
Yeah, yes. As the 5th grade teacher, we do a big action project at the end of the primary years. And last year we did a really cool project. It was very transdisciplinary. Ms. Breshovitsky and myself helped the students plan it. They got very interested in food and food insecurity in our community, and throughout the year they did several food drives, and we wrapped up the year with a big kind of service project where we made meals for some people who are in need in Norfolk. So that was a really cool example of an action project. Even our earlier students do action projects. They've done fundraisers in the past where they bought art supplies for students who were lacking some of those supplies. Last year they collected shoes to donate. So
yeah, I remember that one.
Really cool action projects throughout our building. And some of these action projects are big, like the ones we just talked about. Some of them are small or more personal, and students just reflect maybe on the way they recycle in their household.
Yeah,
so
I'm not going to use as much plastic at home,
exactly.
Things like that.
So action can be small, action can be big, but the main idea is just that we're kind of empowering our students to feel like they're able to make a difference in the world.
Which I think is fabulous. And actually, it's sort of spreading to our parents because we've started this mitzvah club. I actually think a parent started it last year.
Yeah.
We're continuing that this year, and you're working with that group this year to do, set up a bunch of action projects throughout the year. Do you have anything already like in the works, or?
Yeah, well, we had our first meeting project that we worked on this month where we made cards for senior citizens who are living in the Beth Shalom home, or what was previously the Beth Shalom home. And we also decorated honey jars, and those things are going to be delivered to Meals on Wheels clients through JFS. So that was really exciting, and I'm excited to see what they come up with next. But you make a good point that it is kind of contagious, and it also kind of illustrates that we are a community, right? Like our students are here as students to learn, but our parents are also part of the learning community, and it's cool that we can all work together and things like this.
I love that. I can't wait to see what the Mitzvah Club does the rest of this year. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to bring the parents into the IB mindset, but also right alongside their child, because the parents and the children are doing these action projects together, which I love.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Okay, so we kind of have certainly said this, but another reason is IB involves the whole school learning community. So we are all learners. Together we celebrate our common humanity and the belief that education can build a better and more peaceful world. Caring, kindness, empathy, tikkun olam, all of these things are part of the learning community.
Yeah, and I think that's why the IB was a great fit for our school, is that we already had that core value of tikkun olam, and this kind of
and kavod, respect.
Yeah, and for us general studies teachers, this really gives us kind of a framework and like a language to teach that in our everyday curriculum. Yeah.
So another top reason why you should be thinking about an IB school for your child is that we create caring, responsible citizens. Students can express ideas, opinions, and they can propose solutions that make a difference in their lives and the lives of others. I think we've kind of touched on that, but they do feel very empowered. And as they progress through our program, you can really see that light up in our students as they get older. Initially they're like, oh, you want me to tell you what the solution is? Oh, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I know the solution. And as they grow and develop in our school, you see them going from not being sure whether they can come up with a solution to, let me tell you what I think. And you see them working in groups. Our classrooms are not quiet. They're loud. And they should be, because everybody is collaborating together. They're all working on different things and sharing and expressing their opinions, which is a good thing.
Yeah, and it really kind of goes back to some of those social skills and those self-management skills. We're teaching them the skills to actually engage in collaborative problem solving and collaborative learning. And like you said, it's not always quiet. It doesn't look the way that an orderly classroom looked when you and I were in school, but I think it's more, with the times.
Yeah, it might look messy, it might be loud, but there's so much engagement in those rooms that it's empowering when you walk in. And I love walking into the middle of a project that's going on and just listening, going from group to group just to hear the different thought processes that are happening, because it's exciting. So finally, again, we'll say that the IB is a framework and it supports the love of learning, which is also another one of our core values, even before we were an IB school. And we model this for our students. We approach learning with a growth mindset. And again, we believe very heavily in lifelong learning. You never stop learning. And so when students say to the teacher and or many times come and approach me and ask me questions, I might say to them, I don't know the answer to that. And it used to surprise them. And now they just get all excited about that. Ooh, well, let's go see what we can find out. And then they want to go and see if they can figure out what that answer is, and they want to come back and tell me what they found, which I love. Okay, do we want to take a second to kind of wrap up some of our key points? I guess the first one would be that IB is a framework for transdisciplinary learning, meaning we're learning math, we're learning science, we're learning reading, but we're doing it all at the same time as we're trying to solve some complex world issues or local issues. And it's a great lesson to learn that you don't have to sit in rows and spend 30 minutes on reading and 30 minutes on math. You can spend an hour and learn both reading and math at the same time. I think it really provides an amazing foundation. Important components are learner profile traits and our approaches to learning. I think we've covered those, but I will make sure that we put that in our resources just so that if parents want to take a quick glance, what are the learner profile traits and what are the approaches to learning, we can kind of consolidate them and put them in one place for you to find them. All students at SIA are part of an IB learning community. This is 100% accurate. And if they were to continue on in the IB, they would still be part of an IB learning community in the middle years program, and then if they moved on to high school, in that program as well. And parents can support their IB PYP learners at home. One of the best ways you can do that is engagement. Get involved. Get involved in some community action plans. Join our mitzvah club. We're always looking for new families who want to be part of that club, and there's never too many. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. And I think back to your point earlier about maybe setting goals at home as a family. That's a great way for parents to also take on that growth mindset and really show their students that we're all constantly learning and we're all able to grow and improve ourselves.
Yeah, set some family goals, and then at the end of the school year, which is great timing, you can set some at the beginning of the school year, and at the end of the year you guys can come together as a family and reflect on how did we do on these family goals. Hopefully you'll be celebrating and then starting to think about what's next year's goals.
Yeah, I like it.
So thank you for taking the time to join us today, and we really hope that you will give us feedback on our podcast. If you found value in today's episode, we hope that you will subscribe, share, and follow us. Again, we plan to release a new episode every other week, which so far we've been able to do that. I encourage you to visit our website at www.strelitzinternationalacademy.org for more information about this episode, as well as resources and tips. A few reminders, the primary year's sukkah decorating is on Thursday, September 28th at 2:30 p.m. All school picture days are coming up, so get ready, get your new outfits, and get yourselves all dolled up. Tuesday, October 3rd through Thursday, October 5th. You will receive more information from your child's teacher for the exact date and time. The Parent Volunteer Organization, or PVO, is hosting a parent breakfast in the sukkah on Thursday, October 5th at 8:15 in the morning, so we hope you'll be able to join us for that. And please remember, it takes a whole community to build a strong foundation for our children to grow and develop into the future leaders of our local and global communities. On behalf of SIA, I thank you for joining us today, and I thank you for your partnership.